when I'm resting in bed. Right, date 10th of night 2018. If you don't know this by now, go on ASAP, United Kingdom, Disability Rights UK website and look at the article titled Liberty Protection Safeguards, in brackets, the letters LPS, and it relates to replacing deprive of liberties safeguarding safeguards, that's DOLS for short, on the subject of Mental Capacity Bill, statute law dated 2018, and it's meant to be going through the House of Lords, but there is a link to case law on that website, and it's also linked on to somebody's absolutely gone through everything on that, and that has huge implications for people diagnosed with dementia, people with learning disabilities, yes, people with brain injuries, and it claims the words studied behind the scenes public might not be aware of. I didn't know about this. So the statute law Care Act 2014 implemented 2015. So this means, and I was reading, well, my friend did for me, and we're reading the case law of two cases. There was a learning disability. Someone was born with Down syndrome. Someone was born with learning disability of some kind, most probably severe cerebral palsy, that was it. And they were placed in a foster home. So then there was a case, there was in that report and the article, it's something about 250,000 applications. I don't know how much the cost of that quoted. It quoted a public cost for the public purse for the whole of the United Kingdom. And throughout 1 year, it quoted 250,000 applications to the Court Protection for Deprived of Liberty application. So say, God forbid, if one ends up having severe psychological meltdown and you need to be assessed, and then say that NHS public funded employee trained in their field claim you might need to go in a voluntary patient into a mental health, say, hospital. Right, soon as you're there, the implications of the new bill is, you can read it up, this summary for yourself, the basics that's not being discussed. The individual will no longer have access to independent advocate, mental health advocate. No longer will have access to the legal aid, justice to access to challenge that application and decision making of being deprived of liberty. Well, it was worded differently, as I just said. And they will have there's no lawful rights for any public servant in that institutional environment to imply they need to be told, informed of the individual being detained under that new statute law being implemented and discussed in, got to go through the House of Lords yet before it gets all dissent, I think they call it. And that means they will be in that institution for years. I knew this was all going this way. I had a gut feeling why the national agenda to push the mental health. I had a strong indication this was going on behind the scenes. So I just found this out today. I've made the links public on Google+. So if you look out for Life Trying Again on Google+, you can read up the link. I can't link it on this description of this video. I don't have to do that. But just if you have any man or woman, family members, children, adults, teenagers, United Kingdom, look at the disability rights website. Just Google it, disability rights, and go into because I just happened to have the email link to me with a new article dated 5th of September 2018, and the heading again, Mental Capacity Bill 2018. Never knew it was going to be replaced at all. Of the Mental Capacity Act 2005, I think it is. But this is absolutely now spread out implications of human rights of the disabled individual. And then what does that mean with family members as well? You know, their rights. So how will they be able to be informed if the individual has been deprived of their liberty? Well, they're wording it slightly differently, LPS for short. So liberty, this is it. They're calling these words, new wording to be used. Liberty, protection, safeguards, and that's replacing the current DOLS, DOLS, deprived of liberty, safeguards. Okay, and that's United Kingdom, and I don't know if it's affecting England and Scotland, affecting Scotland or Wales, but it's affecting England, and that's happening now. So any offer of assessments joint subject of this, adult health social care. In months of the questions being asked of an individual in the community or your home, make sure you have, if you have that, a next of kin or relative, a friend, a family member that you might be able to have to record the meeting. I will make sure now that my next offer of the last meeting is going to be recorded. If you again in the LGS law, this is my area, I know how they work, reject my lawful right for my own. It's called Equality Statute Act 2010. Look it up, section 22 and 21. That is to safeguard your individual lawful rights as a lawful disability reasonable adjustment. If you cannot retain information, I say this because I had suspicion on the 7th of July 2018. It could have been June. I think it's because of my death of my mum. I've got the dates of what was said and who said what, which I won't make public because it's private. But one of the key things was focusing more on, which seemed extremely odd when it's mainly about my physical reduction and my physical health and my personal care needs, when this individual, two of them, was focusing on answering questions for me instead of me. Yeah. And she was trying to imply that I have difficulty retaining information. Well, hold on. If you are having a bad day and you have trauma related effect of a psychological mindset, that's completely different. Not within this new statute law, it's not. How it can be misinterpreted depending who might be employed to offer an assessment if you unfortunately have a setback in your health and your physical health affects your mental health, put it that way. So the new models of statute law nationally, and I do not know if behind the scenes the training for healthcare professionals already have taken place. Check it on my time. So I do not know if already, but personal things has happened to me March 2017. From then on, which I knew about certain subjects of law, so I was able to fully rebut that and put it on record. If you don't fully counterclaim and rebut something that isn't factual or evidential or proof on first-hand knowledge, then this will happen. to individuals. You're not aware of your rights. But, a big but, when your reduction in your health ends up having accidents physically, then the alleged maybe, I'm not saying it will, but maybe, if one has unfortunate past mental health, psychological disabilities, that might be brought into question. Okay, and that could be in any NHS setting, say your own private home. If you're offered a visit, I would be extremely careful now about this. And also, if you're offered to go to an assessment place, and make sure you touch base with, if there's a charity or somebody, just look around. You might have to keep looking around to see what advocacy at the moment is available still. And put this question to them: do they know about this new statute act? Or if you know of an email to email somebody, they might not be able to answer, but at least you're making inquiries now, if you're able to, or your loved ones. And then go to, I would suggest in, say, in wherever you are, give you one example, CCG, they're like clinical commission groups funded by NHS England. Okay, so then you have perhaps another NHS Foundation Trust. So it could be a hospital, acute hospital setting, if you have an accident, God forbid. Or it could be like offered home services on behalf of that NHS trust, because you could have a large foundation trust who has major, lots and lots of different services. Be careful what you say and what data you share, because on the computer systems they're using, it's a one system software which shares your data to other healthcare professionals in the job role. I would suggest, in my opinion only, to check what data, and it takes time, but it's up to you if you have time to check what data is held on you, and make sure on data protection statute law 2018, since May this year, you have a lawful right to have a correction added to your data held records. So whether it's medical, whether it's health, whether it's social care, whether it's occupational therapy, whatever subject you might be dealing with, whatever service, and housing, and whatever public sector services may be dealing with. And then if you're offered any private services by private limited companies, get full disclosure on any offer of good services and the basis of that, because any slight bit information can be twisted non-factually, quite perhaps innocently sometimes, and it can escalate, unfortunately, if you don't do a straight, within a matter as soon as you can, a full rebuttal. I had to just do that with my friend's help, because a sister, a family member, had got one text, she read it wrong, and that led to a major bloody, saw that video of two sections of a advocate contracted care service, and I wondered why during the summer suddenly people were off on holiday and they wouldn't replace with a temporary social worker, a temporary care advocate, while I'm going through this complex procedure known as adult, the Care Act assessment process. And I wondered why they would not produce accessible, lawful documentation that I can have, like a CD, that I could read pre-answers of questions to be asked of me. The 40-page document I can't bloody read, let alone understand it. And I'm going in those meetings blind, not knowing what to be asked. That is not, in statute law, a lawful assessment of your health, your combination. I'll go on this: your housing, your health, social care, medical, whatever your personal situation of your needs, your choices and outcomes. It states in statute law nationally, every town and city, who is responsible for the areas of adult social health care, and that links in with healthcare professionals and social workers and medical side and housing. It links in with everything. But this implication of what I found out today has a massive, serious effect. Now we're going back, if you don't remember, or look it up on history of where they used to have people with less mobility, less mental health, types of disabilities, and unable to work. There wasn't such thing as NHS many, many moons ago. So they had these places known as poor houses, like institutional environments, where they split up with the men, they split up the women and the children. That's going back not to that extreme, but it's going back to that system. This article, and look at the links to it, because it tells you, well, it doesn't tell you anything, it just explains clearly what is not being offered in the statute bill, in the new proposals. So this is from somebody who's academic and must have done through the fine tooth comb. And so my mate's just sent an email to my area, a key social worker. She might not even know about it. And it's just putting the question to this area care advocate service manager as well, and copy the link into it to question, are they aware of this coming in? Or have they, they're not privy to answer, of course, but it's just a legit inquiry. And obviously I'm very concerned, because despite everything I said about my limitations of I can't do such and such they've been rushing all this care assessment, and there's been key questions and things said to me on the phone that has been hinting at pushing the mental health. So my private life data, I wondered how my private medical data, ever since I was born, got released without my consent. Suddenly there is this consent document. It's one-sided. In other words, in law, nationally, in statute law, common law, contract law, there needs to be 2 signatories on the document. There's just mine, signed under duress. I know how to sign it that way. And it was done in a very noisy cafe, and it was done without any independent, because that independent advocate service is funded by whoever's providing, say, NHS services or the county council health social care services. It's not independent, although on the website's information claims to be. It's not. They have an agenda because they appear to help the individual. Please don't get me wrong. No scaremongering here. You can research the facts for oneself. So this is only, I knew something was in the pipeline, and I've had a history of being mistreated because at the weekend, it was odd that the last meeting, after recovering still from this concussion of a head injury, no pit state, and nowhere in the email did it say I could have cancelled that meeting on Friday just gone last week. And when I got there, I was so down weak, and this individual came to me, oh, I can't find, which was odd, I can't find this is my details, by the way, my data occupational therapist reports or assessments. Well, I've got all of them already since 2010, 2012, 2011, 2013, a long time ago. So if there was a letter that my mate just found today on my drive from the complaints department about what happened to me in 2012, 13, 2014, especially in my own home as well, and who was involved and who did what, and no one got held accountable. And that's why I haven't consented up until recently to that same occupational therapy company anywhere near me and their employees for that reason. And then I explained about the serious impact on the triggers on my psychological well-being. That's how they word it, well-being, all the time. They took no notice of the serious trauma effect in my life and the health and physical safety that happened to me, lack of, in my home. And then who got investigated? It turns out the very occupational therapy department from years ago had investigated themselves, basically. And different employees now, don't get me wrong, but still it's the same company. There was never, unless they can put it in writing, how they can offer the guarantee I will not be offered the same employees, especially the previous occupation therapist employees, and it's less funded as well, jointly in one's area. There is impossible to anyone to not guarantee I'm not going to have the same dealings of these people. So therefore, quite easily to use, as unfortunately the affected one's bereaving and grieving process that affects my mum's death, to implement and claim there's an undiagnosed psychological or mental health disability needs investigating. Well, my goodness me. And then because of my high complex personal care needs, because of this housing company has failed for a year to repair my home in the health and safety standards lawfully meant to have done over a year, and will not do it again unless I have an occupational therapy assessment. Well, my mate turned all the documents yesterday, old documents, and found a letter 2013 to head office housing site and to the same occupation therapy company and employees, the directors, setting out that despite all these occupation therapist reports since, as I said, the dates, not one reasonable adjustments to the minor adjustments to my flat would be offered. I had to move. The claim I needed to move, where to. So I was in that same position all those years ago, having to bid for a one-bed bungalow, but there was nothing even then. That's why I've been stayed ever since. And it's gone back to square one, 360, where as soon as my friend found all those documents and found that other letter and linked on to what's been happening all these months, since I ended up in hospital last year and ended up calling them to see what new, what is now being offered and what system is now being offered may help. Well, then I was never informed that this was in the pipeline, what I found out today. And it has huge implications because obviously the bereavement counselling in the charity will not offer anything for another 6. Well, when I heard my mum's about to die, I'd emailed them and asked for support. They said can't do anything for 6 months. So now I'm being triggered off for these questions and nobody cares. Then I contact the medical side, the GP, doctor, and the old doctor had retired, my own doctor, accountable GP, and then why do they put on the same doctor that set me up unlawfully in 2017? And it took me months to sort that out. So my friends typed letters sent out to that NHS UK Constitution that sets out the patient's rights and the duty on care onto the public servants and their job role, and they don't like it when you speak up for yourself. And those 3 letters set out what the lawful requirements are and how nothing's happened and what was offered then before what I knew today. And instead, last week, medication delivery on the sheet was this guy's name. And that led to a suspicion. I couldn't prove it, but I didn't think much to it, but I had a concern. But I was more concerned about me trying to get on and get the right services I need to work with people best way I can now. I can't change what's happened now, obviously. And I just had a gut feeling that these certain comments were said to me in a way that's unprofessional, non-related questions to the statute law, the kind of questions of disability rights website. Disability law is a website as well that tells you what should. It doesn't say, it don't tell you. It just advises. And then you get that information and watch videos as many as you can on the procedure and processes to follow, whatever the subject you're dealing with, right? And then you get your your gut instinct. Okay. Be aware how I know about section 42 of the statute law, how that is used. And I've had recent, again, experience of that. And if I hadn't studied contract law and those subjects like that in 2012 for about 3 years, I wouldn't know how to rebut things and word things with my friends' help, having to type everything up for me now and do a lot more paperwork and email now. Now, the only reason, from what I found out today, from what everything, my experiences recently, up until I had to put a break on with the effect of the funeral and my mum as well, and reduction of my health, and I found it all odd, all this is happening, and then, hold on, you want to pull out the offer of care advocate, and how that, and it was weird, because you had the summer break, fine, so why wouldn't a public service employees, management level, whatever, offer temporary, like, it was about 8 weeks wait for this social worker to come off a personal holiday. So I was disadvantaged by that. Then there was another 5 weeks, 6 weeks late for a new offer of a care advocate. But that one individual had made it clear on the first meeting only, one meeting, that she works in this mental health hospital as an advocate too. Why did they put that advocate on? It could be coincidence, didn't think much to it. And the previous experienced advocate I got on well with for a while, excellent in her offer services. She suddenly claimed, I got no proof, it's just what I was informed by email. She had to be going in a medical emergency. Fine, these things happen. So, since then, this is when I started noticing how these questions are being asked. It could be pure coincidental. I'm not saying it anything other. And but I've got to, since I found this out today, it comes across, just put it this way, that the implications, I'm not political by all means. The Brexit, so-called, we're not going to ever leave EU, but the Human Rights Statute Law Act 1998, and the fundamental, your natural and inalienable rights as well, whether you're able-bodied or non-able-bodied. But fundamentally, especially when you unfortunately get ill, get run over, have an accident or injury, and you're needing to rely on the state services, statutory, they call it statutory services offers. So in other words, in contract law, it's offer contract, okay? But the way these public servants work now will not, unless you know these things, will not help inform the individual or the loved ones or family members. That is what that is. You're signing your signature on their documents, and your, whether it's verbal consent, implied consent, by your actions, not just by your signature. This is when they come in with a statute law, and that is where what I read today, with my friend's help, absolutely reading, and that needs to be more research on that. I wish somebody could do a video on it, because I'm not able to do all that, to explain what that detailed left out of the amendment of the repeat Mental Capacity Bill 2018, title Liberty Protection Safeguarding, well, Safeguards with an S, and the letters LPS, replacing deprived of liberties safeguards. And that is dated going through the House of Lords, and it's in that amendments bill stage in statute law now in UK, London, House of Commons in statute law. So please, kindly, if you care to know, research, go onto the websites, stop and play, pause this video, make notes if you might think you might be affected. And if you're an adult with full capacity now, I would suggest to get, I don't know how long it takes, but if you think you might lose capacity or have signs of dementia or something hints that way now, look how much or where you might be able to get a grant or funding to hire a lawyer now in statute law that specializes in court or protection. And this subject I'm talking about, because then you have an outside lawyers to be able to help you. And you really do need to get this planned ASAP before you suddenly get, say, well, we think you need to go into this place. When you end up still, I'm not sure what it's like, personal experience now in NHS environments of, they call it the they have all these new words to butter everything up. Mental health hospital, in other words. Now, if you end up physically ill in hospital and someone says you might need evaluation, and mental health is showing sign of behaviour. There was one guy recently who had that. He was shouting, he was kicking off, because unfortunately his whether it's a learning disability, whatever it was, he wasn't mentally coherent. And there was people with him in the A&E department. I could hear everything in the room I was in. And I'm not saying, obviously, who it was, I don't know. I'm not saying the time or dates, because I'm not going to give that information, it's private. But just put it that way, if that happens, and some, if that situation might already been handled in a different way, that's their business. But I'm saying, if you end up with somebody saying, oh, you're not talking to somebody right, or you're not behaving in a way that public servant don't like, they can, in that kind of setting, they could easily try and imply you might need an evaluation. And that is in the subject of mental health pathways document that my mate saw today and downloaded. And that is seeing this later in the day today, linking up what's been going on for personal experiences, certain comments are said by certain people, and knowing what I know and other things, it has the human rights serious implications. So if you end up in a care home, you'll be detained and you will have to have 2 people perhaps to go out into the community or access anything. Now it might, I'm not trying to scaremonger, please don't get me wrong. It's just for those at the moment who are not that extent of level of requirement of that type of service requirement offer. I'm looking at if it gets to that stage, God forbid, for anyone else, and you won't know about this new statute law coming in, and then it's too late to plan anything because you won't be able to access any outside independent support. They're pulling all that away, what's in place now. So I really, gut feeling told me to make the video stream about this best I can, and to share the links and to let people to see if they want to find out for themselves. Because could you imagine yourself, your loved one, your family, your son, your daughter, or your grandkids suddenly finding you didn't even know what your rights are, you haven't got any. Your human rights are taken away. My goodness me, I knew we were going downhill in this country, United Kingdom, but I didn't expect it to go this extreme. And when you look at the bigger picture of the welfare benefits and the cuts and the impact, serious impact affecting the mental health of individuals, and sanctions and the PIP and universal credit, why do you think that's coming in and doing it? So I got no expertise on anything like this, but I'm just got a general question mark on it all, because it all links. So I'm doing my best in the little way I can to work with people at the moment. But if this is going to be implemented, and well, where does that leave me if I need to go into a care environment and suddenly someone says, oh, you might need evaluation by that care management, like manager of that care home. And then you suddenly find your liberties and human rights stripped because you're in that environment. I cannot believe this. I mean, I can, I've read it, but I just need to get off and trying to rest best I can, because I'm absolutely shocked. I mean, I suspected things are going on behind the scenes, but this is a national implications for everyone in a similar position. Please check out last word I'm going to say, Disability Rights UK website. I'll repeat the date of the article on the main website page, the 5th of September 2018. Take care, God bless. Kindly share if it's important, or if you think it might be.